So, I mean, you are seeing a lot of people like Christy at the moment. I meant, not well.
Quite sure how to take that. Yeah, no,
There's
we're
lots of
surrounded by people coughing and sneezing at us and wheezing, and yeah, it's all very unpleasant.
And generally speaking, I know we chatted on the phone a couple of weeks ago. Generally speaking, it's not advised to go to the doctor, particularly with this kind of thing.
Yeah, it's the problem, really. Please don't come and infect me, folks. That's the problem. No, I'm not being selfish, but actually, apart from me, there's a load of folk in the waiting room who probably won't thank you for being coughed and sneezed at. Obviously, we all say, don't we, that hospitals are unhealthy places to be. Well, doctors' waiting rooms are as well. They're full of folks who are poorly, for goodness sake, and also full of elderly people and people with other long-term conditions. And the last thing we want is to put them all in an enclosed space together and then have folks coming and coughing and sneezing at them. So from that point of view, it's not a great plan to come and visit us, but also because actually we can't do a lot. Doctors don't actually have the answer to coughs and colds. I wish we did. I wish we were able to give you something that would make a big difference. But the reality is that we haven't really got anything up our sleeves other than the normal home remedies that you would get from your chemist. And so we tend to direct you towards the pharmacists. Pharmacists are becoming increasingly skillful and are increasingly trained to be able to deal with minor illnesses like earaches and coughs and colds and sore throats and eye infections and all those sort of things. And they have more time than us, and generally you get access to them more quickly. So we generally say, go there, don't come to us.
There seems to be a bit of a theme at the moment, though, because, admittedly, yes, it does sound like I'm rough. I'm not actually too bad at all, but I know there is a bit of a running theme at the minute with people having this bug or whatever it is, but it not going away for weeks and weeks and weeks. And the thing that seems to be attached to it, to people I've spoken to, is fatigue as well. It seems to just really run you down. What can you do about that?
That and a cough that seems to be lasting for weeks as well. It is an unusual bug from that point of view, or a series of bugs, in that it does seem to be lasting a little bit longer. What can you do about it? Well, the major reason why people feel tired out is that when you're dealing with a virus infection like this, the only thing that gets it better is your immune system. And when your immune system is in full swing, you don't have a lot of energy left for anything else. And the problem is, at this time of year, particularly if you're a child or a parent, you are really busy preparing for Christmas. So you're doing all the last things that you do in the last couple of weeks before the end of term, or you're putting your decorations up or not, as the case may be. And, it's a busy time of year, so we don't rest properly. And the first thing, and really the only thing I say to most people with this sort of virus is, you've got to rest. And when we say rest, we mean proper rest. You've got to sit around and get bored for a day or two, really, in order to allow your immune system to really kick in and get the amount of antibodies that are needed around your bloodstream.
Sign me up.
To sit quietly for a couple of days.
Yes. So what about, they all say prevention is better than cure then? So is there much people can do to try not to go down with it in the first place? And I hark back to when I was knee-high or whatever, and at this time of the year, and it was only through the winter months as I recall, but there would always be a jar of Halib Orange. I'm sure other vitamin C tablets are available. We always give vitamin C every day, and rightly or wrongly, we used to get iron supplements. This was on the basis somehow or other built up your system and helped prevent you going down with these in the first place. Or is this absolute nonsense?
Now, ladies and gentlemen, I would say at this point that I have been a tub of grapes has been placed within handy reach of my microphone here on the table. I suspect this is a ploy. So vitamin C and iron. Okay, so look, when you are more exposed to viruses, which you are through the winter, it is important to make sure that you're eating a good, varied diet. And so multivitamins and all the normal types of nutrition that you should be eating in terms of protein and carbohydrate is good and important, therefore, not just to eat rubbish. And the problem, of course, at this time of the year is that A, we're busy, so we tend to eat convenience food. B, it's winter and it's cold, so we tend to eat comfort food, neither of which are necessarily terribly good for us. So a good varied diet is a really good idea, and it does help to support your immune system. Whether you should then supplement that by taking extra vitamins is really an interesting argument. There is actually very little evidence that taking multivitamins, if you are good at eating a good varied diet, does very much good. But if you think your diet is likely to be deficient in any of them, then if you cannot eat the sort of foods that you know will contain the vitamins that you need, sure, let's give some multivitamins. Iron, indirectly. Iron builds up good blood supply in terms of red blood cells, and certainly the converse is true. In other words, if you're anemic and you don't have enough blood, then generally you'll be tireder, you'll be more breathless, you will therefore be more prone to viruses. So there is an indirect connection, but I wouldn't say everybody should run out and buy multivitamins, because actually most of you are probably eating a good variety of vitamins anyway.
That is changing to an extent, though, with the likes of whether it's flexitarianism, vegetarianism, veganism sort of coming to the fore, and there will be a lot more of that. So what should people who have a
yes and
different diet?
no. Although my experience is that people who make a decision to go vegetarian or vegan tend to be pretty much aware of their nutritional need. And I find, certainly my experience in talking to people who have made the decision to switch, is that they're much more cognizant, much more aware of what needs to be done in terms of supplementing. But yes, obviously, if you are restricting your diet so that you're not eating a whole section of food that human beings would normally eat, then yes, you've got to think about whether you need to supplement that in some other way.